played Grixis Goryo last time with 4 Discovery Dispersal, and Discovery Dispersal was very good. We also played with 4 copies of Mausoleum Secrets, and 4 copies of Mausoleum Secrets felt like it was far too many, so we've dialed it back on that one. And then one of the things that felt interesting last time we were playing was it felt like we could kind of turn into a more controlling interactive deck post-board against a lot of things. Hey, NoobTube Gaming, thank you for the brand new Prime support there. I appreciate that. Welcome. So we've got a couple of Rals in the sideboard along with some sweepers and some removal spells. So we'll see how this feels. Give me the Grizzle Daddies, Phyrexian Fox. Thanks for re-upping for the 9th month in a row. Thanks for the 3/4 of a year and welcome back. I think Ral's pretty good in Modern, especially in decks that can't cast Teferi. Like, I think if you're in blue-red and like don't have access to Ral for whatever reason, I think don't have access to Teferi, like, I think it's very, very reasonable. Seems sweet. Got a Faithless Looting and like have a Gristle Pig to put in the bin already. So we'll just go Cliffs Looting on one here. Got a Living End already, so As Foretold will let us get Griselbrand back. We also have Goryo's Vengeances to draw to. Yeah, so we get like, what, we get 3 draws at a Goryo's Vengeance to turn 2 Pig, and we get, what, 4 draws at an As Foretold for turn 3 permanent Pig. I'll ditch this. I don't really need an additional blue mana, so I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and ditch this Polluted Delta. Just take a little bit less damage from my mana. I think I'd like to have the second red. One of the things that this deck does really well is it's able to cast its spells, or cast its Kiki-Jikis pretty consistently off triple red. So prioritizing setting ourselves up to have triple red is very reasonable. Sacred Foundry Shock, go. Okay. So I guess a question here becomes, do I want, what's the ETA and Hugo merch available? So soon, basically is the answer. Christy needs to set up some PayPal stuff for our stickers and our tokens. We're going to be selling those ourselves, and then Streamlabs is supposed to have their pricing stuff fixed for me by next week. So I have actual physical merch pinned down. We just need to get the sales stuff rounded out. As soon as it's up places, I'll be posting everywhere about it. So, like, do I just, like, shock Vryn's Prodigy here? Or do I go, like, Swamp Discovery, digging for the As Foretold? I kind of want to just, like, Swamp Discovery and dig for my thing, I think. This, like, gets me 4 cards deeper, basically, looking for As Foretold or Goryo's Vengeance. Well, that's just like truly wonderful, right? Actually, I probably don't even need the Ancestral Visions, right? Like, I'm gonna put Griselbrand into play, so he's like better than Ancestral Visions. I think I'm gonna bin that one in and take the As Foretold here. It's a groggy kind of morning. That's great, Cantor. You've gone down to 3 AV. I could see that, especially since like I've got a Tolaria West in the 75 now too, and we like have more card selection. Like the fact that Discovery Dispersal gives me the ability to the fact that Discovery Dispersal gives me the velocity to see more, and like Ancestral Vision isn't a card that I need on 1 in this deck. I could even reasonably see going down to like 2. Strategic Planning isn't better than Discovery Dispersal. Okay, so they're playing some kind of control deck then? The top 3 cards here, put 1 in your hand, put the rest of them in your graveyard. No, so Discovery Dispersal not only has utility in what it's able to do, but it's also a card that it's also gonna be a card that can be cast off of just black mana for starters. Like we actually cast it off of Blackcleave Swamp this game. Alright, and then I just get to go ahead and, like, discard Jace, discard Deceiver Exarch, discard Griselbrand here, and then Blake living end to get next turn. Yeah, definitely. 100%. You're allowed to ask about Magic, those decks, other decks, anything, any type of gaming here at any time. I kind of wanted to, like, fit some Izzet Charms back in here potentially, or Collective Brutality is the main, and I hadn't considered cutting Ancestral Visions, but now that you mention it, that seems like a good reasonable suggestion. Oh, you know what? I should have Discovered here to start. I definitely could have, like, found a Kiki-Jiki and killed them. So they're probably pretty likely to have you go up to 2 as a charm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm actually not sure if I'm sold on keeping even one Mausoleum Secrets. Discovery Dispersal is very good. This card was, like, okay last time. So I think post board against Rest in Peace decks, I want to just, like, always bring in these explosives and these rals so I have a way to, like, pull up a little bit. And then I think kind of the best response to Graveyard Hate, in addition to bringing in ways that we can interact with it, is also just, like, trimming on some of our cards that lean into the graveyard a little bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and trim a couple copies of Goryos and a couple copies of Griselbrand. I might even go trim a little bit more than that. Like, I'm leaving in the Living End and my way to, like, pick up Living End in the Griselbrand. I think trimming on this planet a touch makes a lot of sense. Especially with, like, the one Mausoleum Secrets, like, that can be a second Goryo's Vengeance for us. I haven't seen that deck list, NoobTube. The best way you can find out if I'm willing to play something is I have a deck submission form that's linked on my website. So if you click the submit deck, it's on the top navigation. You'll find the details on how my donation decks work, as well as a submission link there. Thanks for pulling that up, Marty. I don't think I want to trim all the Gristle Pigs. I think trimming a couple and some Goryo's Vengeance makes sense. I want to get a couple of Brutalities in here too, I think. They're potentially aggressive, so maybe I want to trim in Ancestral Visions here. Maybe we'll try boarding down to just a couple and see how that feels in these various games that we're playing. Bring Brutality. I'm not sure exactly, like, what my opponent's creature base is per se, so I don't think I necessarily want to bring in Anger of the Gods yet. All we saw to them was red-white lands, Path to Exile, and Selfless Spirit. So it's possible that they're, like, a little bit of a bigger deck, so I'm not sure that I want to commit to bringing in, like, Anger of the Gods and Abrade and, like, more removal. If it turns out they're playing, like, a Taxa-style deck with, like, a bunch of Leonin Arbiters and stuff, I might board in more removal post-board, but for now I'm going to be a little bit conservative, I think. It's okay. It's a little bit land heavy, but we've got a Desolate Lighthouse in it, and Jace can potentially help us loot through some stuff. Yeah, it's looking like they're playing Texas. It's possible I should have just hedged that too. You want to lead on your fetch lands against Leonin Arbiter decks, so that way if they do Leonin Arbiter you have the ability to have used those first. Yeah, looks like red white Texas. Just kept, like, a pretty slow hand. Be aware of Magus of the Moon. That's probably a good suggestion. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna get basic Swamp and then basic Island here. I guess that makes their paths a little bit better since I have the basic Mountain in my hand already, but I think I'm supposed to hedge a little bit here. Well, I guess they're, like, they have all of these. I don't know. Magus probably pretty greedy out of them. Yeah, I could see Repeal not being particularly useful. I also think with the addition of, like, Discovery to the deck, like, between Discovery and Engineer Explosives and our ways to just, like, sidestep their Graveyard Hate, those are ways we can kind of play through that type of stuff. We're getting Wastelanded. I think Green-White Value Town's a really bad Magic the Gathering deck. Modern's a format that's really a lot about, like, tempo and resource efficiency. and that deck is not, doesn't have particularly mana efficient plays most of the time. I'm gonna ban Griselbrand because we're pretty far off of casting him. Let's just put the Steam Vents into play. Playing the Steam Vents this turn is gonna feel bad if they have another Ghost Quarter, but and I just really just like want to get my tap land into play tap now, I think. Yeah, I don't have a lot going on here, unfortunately. Our spells we've drawn so far haven't been particularly good. And that happens in a deck like this, right? Like we're like a synergy combo deck at our core, so it's very possible that we just like draw the wrong mix. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this now, and then crack this fetch land because I didn't have another Leonin Arbor to put it in my end of turn. Like they were holding it to get me. Like you got me. We've played Red White Texas on stream before. You can find the archive on my YouTube channel. It's a deck that like pretty consistently pops up in like 5-0s and stuff like that. It's a Moto favorite deck list. It plays a lot of cards that people like playing. I'm actually kind of in for both of these, right? I think I'm just gonna full escalate this. Do I want to check for a path? They probably have a path here, right? Like they're not doing a whole lot. I could get Flicker Wisp tier 2, which would suck, but I definitely just like can't not do anything this turn. If they have Flicker Wisp, I'm probably just dead. I think I need to try and kill their thing though. Now I'm pretty confident I want 22 plus lands in the deck. Looking like we might be dead anyways. That card's really bad in their Aether Vial deck. I think with Desolate Lighthouse and Tolaria West, I'm definitely want more lands in my deck rather than less. So we're getting hit for 6 next turn out of 5. I get to play Ral, shoot the Marian Crusader. I guess like this is the reason to have killed the Selfless Spirit instead of Leonin Arbiter, right? Like I don't have more search effects in my hand right now, so I probably should have killed the Selfless Spirit. Because now like they're gonna get to sack the Selfless Spirit to protect the Marian Crusader. That's probably going to kill me. Yeah, I'm gonna bring in more removal for the last game. It's like turn into a full control deck basically. I might just like board into Splinter Twin essentially. I think I just want to turn into a control deck in this matchup. Just like take out this plan basically. Like be in on this. Maybe this is too many of these. Especially if I'm trimming some of this plan. I could see this being okay. Seems fine. Yeah, seems fine. Yeah, I think if I felt like I had too many lands, I would play more Tolaria West, not less lands, because Tolaria West is a land that turns into a useful spell when we don't need the land anymore, right? Like, I'm not sure. This one Desolate Lighthouse in here might not be good. It might just be better as another Tolaria West for purposes of flooding situation. But, like, Desolate Lighthouse is, like, also pretty good when you're flooding. I have no idea what that is. I don't watch many movies. Throw a Blood Crypt here. Looking for lands or Jaces here. It's not particularly useful. Sure. Okay. So I'm definitely binning this. What's my... Is it just double Exarch here? It might just be double Exarch, right? I think it's double Exarch. I'm gonna go ahead and play this out for 1, I think. If Anger lined up. I love that Living End just like doubles as a sweeper in this deck too a lot of the time, which is nice. Slayer Stronghold. That's adorable. Alright, it's taking 5 here. So the fact that they didn't put something in off of Aether Vial kind of says to me that they don't have a 2-drop here. I think I'm going to go ahead and dig for an untapped land here. This might be, and this is a good example again of why I went up to 22 land, because I feel like most of the games I'm losing are games like this, where I just like need more lands desperately. What? That's brutal. Alright, maybe the fact that there's an Arbiter in play means I shouldn't dig for lands there. Yeah, I could see that being the case. Wow, they have a 2-drop too. Okay, so my read was bad. They were just, okay, that makes sense. They wanted to like try and get me if I was going to do graveyard shenanigans. So I'm taking like 8 here down to 6. And they get to wasteland me as well. Brutal. Yeah, just like, I think this game was a good example of like why cutting lands from this deck is wrong. You should just please follow the instructions on the site, NoobTube Gaming. So any decks that you want to submit, you just submit through the form, please. It just helps me stay organized. Do I wasteland myself so I can cast Anger of the Gods? I think I have to like sack this and not do anything. Just like do this, cast Anger. Feels bad, man. I should just cast this last turn. I wasn't considering the fact that Leonin Arbiter made my fetch lands not be lands last turn when I dug with the Discovery. I definitely should have just cast Anger last turn. Hey, Brendan77222, thank you very much for the brand new Prime support there. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. They got to nuke our graveyard there too, so this As Foretold Living End is much worse. It also means the Remorseful Cleric's in their bin, which makes my As Foretold worse. Oh geez, good game, opponent. I think I lost that because I messed up. I definitely should have Growl Me Harder, thank you for the 2-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thank you for the continued support. Yeah. People like to both not cast their spells and complain about their inability to not cast their spells. Just be more conservative, play more lands. You're gonna lose far more games in Magic to having not enough lands than to having too many lands. If you think there's too many lands in your deck, on average, don't cut lands. Instead, add utility lands, which is why when I played this deck previously, I think this deck started at like 8, 19, or 20 lands or something absurd like that. I've been slowly adding utility lands to the deck list. Like, just play Magic more consistently. Magic's a game that has a ton of variance built into it, but it's also a game that gives us a ton of tools to mitigate that variance if we're playing well. Leonin Arbiter's played for a lot of the reasons the mediocre cards in the Taxus deck are played. It's a synergy card that when all the synergy pieces come together, it's really good, but its average use case is just unplayable, which is why the Taxus decks consistently fail to put up any type of results at major tournaments. No, I don't think that's true, OCD guy. Morning, Hippity. The general mantra is that Screw tends to beat Flood, but Screw doesn't beat your opponent's average draw. So this is a game where I'm not suspending AV on 1 because I want to As Foretold AV on 3. No, we're just doing Modern and Standard these days. I just don't find Legacy particularly fun to play personally. Gravecrawler, okay. Neat. Sure, there's a person for every garbage tier deck in Modern. There's somebody who did something at something that they consider as a reasonable tournament, right? But like, look at Grand Prix results, look at SCG results. I'm not even talking about single tournaments. I'm talking about generically in general. Look at the last year's worth of tournament results and like pick out how many Taxes decks you see in those results versus like the decks that we consider to be like genuinely good in Modern, right? Yeah, the number of cards that are playable in Legacy is very, very small. Scred won a Grand Prix. Yeah, and that's why you should never look at a single event's results to determine whether or not something could be good, bad, or otherwise. You should be looking at a range of results to try and figure that out. I'm getting kind of punished for having not suspended this on 1 because I did have a discard spell here, which is one of the dangers. Definitely knew that could be a possibility. Start by looting here. I think I want an extra loot with this. So like I could like discovery before I loot, which could allow me to like flip the Jace this turn, but I don't think I really want to flip the Jace this turn. Alright, that's kind of funny, Hippity. I'm gonna bin both of these, I think, because with the Jason play, I can actually Jace flashback this Living End if we hit another As Foretold here, which would be nice. Sam J. Stanton with the 9-month resub at the tier 3 level. Thank you very much and welcome back. Thank you for that absurd level of support. Remember, if you'd like to add a deck to the queue, use the normal submission form on the website, and there's a place in there to mark that you're a tier 3 sub. If there's already a deck in the queue you'd like to bump up with that, you can just drop me a message about that in private. I'm not sure what card you're referring to, Squishy. There isn't a Jumpstart Snapcaster. Jeskai Ascendancy combo. That was... I've gotten punished for, like, most of my decisions this game. Start by casting Faithless Looting. Okay, and there's an As Foretold. Oh, I guess I'm gonna do this. And again, kind of getting punished for having suspended this when I did too, because we drew the As Foretold. I feel like I've had a lot of really small percentage plays to make, and I don't know if I chose wrong necessarily in the moment, but I've definitely gotten punished for every choice I've made this game, it feels like. That is a big boy. That is a big boy. I'm glad I have this Deceiver Exarch. They're dead, right? This deck is so sweet. So I get to cast Faithless Looting here, bin this Exarch, and then Living End my combo into play. There might be something to this Faithless Looting card, chat. There might be something to this Faithless Looting card. This card might be okay. Don't mind me, just making 1/4s. Wait, save targets? Always yield. Why doesn't save targets work? Oh, I have to click untap. Okay. Okay. Alright, so that is less clicks. Look at that. Look at that. Mono's improved, chat. Mono's gotten better. That's so beautiful. Mono's improved. It's an actual improvement. God bless you, Magic Online. I wasn't prepared for this morning. Everybody told me you don't love me anymore because there's Magic Arena and you were never gonna get better again. But they lied. You actually got better, Magic Online. I love you, Magic Online. Alright, sorry, I'm gonna try and compose myself here for a moment. It's just so gosh darn beautiful. It's just so gosh darn beautiful. Look at how quick this is. Look at this is just like the amount of efficiency I have here is absurd. Can we unban Splinter Twin now that it's not abysmal to play on Magic Online? This is way easier. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I guess I just... Do you think I'm going to time out, opponent? Is that what we're going for here? We are down on clock by 30 seconds at the moment. We'd probably still be up on clock if I hadn't had an emotional breakdown. Okay, so this is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Make 45 to celebrate, right? At the Slaughter pack, they would have packed it, the Exarch in response to Kiki targeting it. Why is Green Sun banned? So Green Sun, Zenith was banned because of Cloud Post. They're a Leonin Arbiter deck. I don't know why they showed me that, but thanks, I guess. So, okay, so this is interesting. So I'm thinking, like, so this is a deck I'm considering playing at the Invitational, because I think it's got this, like, reasonable, proactive game plan. And I'm, like, trying to think about, like, sideboard plans and things I could do. And I think trimming these Ancestral Visions in general makes sense. But what do we feel about just, like, against most decks, just, like, boarding these cards out and, like, just bringing in, like, Ral plus interaction? That seems pretty reasonable, right? I feel like that seems pretty reasonable. Hey, what do we think of? What do we think of this? We're the control. Yeah, we're definitely the control deck in this matchup, right? It's just like lean into it. I like that idea. This deck got some new tools. We got Discovery Dispersal. I also like cut some of the cute stuff out of this deck, right? Like we cut like the 2 of Simian Spirit Guides. We cleaned up some of the numbers. I think Ral's a good addition from the sideboard, honestly. Yeah, we've played the last 2 leagues we've played with Griselbrand have Discovery Dispersal on the sideboard. So someone asked, why would I consider playing this deck when I wouldn't consider playing Griselbrand? So the thing that this deck does that's very different than Griselbrand is this deck is it's like a combo control deck to a degree. It has the ability to be interactive and not in a bad way. So like Living End in this deck is basically a pseudo sweeper. Zayats, thank you very much for the brand new tier 1 sub there. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Thanks for keeping me employed here. So like, what am I doing with my life here? Yeah, it's closer to Splinter Twin in a way. We have a graveyard element, but it's definitely closer to Twin, especially post board. I think we can turn into that. Like game 1, we have pretty decent linear draws, but like post board, I also think that like because part of our linear game plan involves casting Living End, there's a lot of decks in the format that like are playing to the board and creature decks. So like Living End is very reasonable interaction in those matchups. I think I just want to like play Delta Pass here. I think I just want to like get my fetch land on before they like play their stupid Grizzly Bear. All right, hold on. I need a moment at Jeff does social media. I mean, they are also on record saying that an eventual goal of Arena is to play PT feature matches on it. Doesn't sound very casual to me. So, the argument against Green Sun Zenith is that the flexibility leads to too much power with that card. And the thing about Modern is, the way Modern is right now especially, Modern isn't a format that rewards you for being flexible. Modern's a format that generally speaking rewards you for being brutal and efficient. And cards that allow you to do something other than be brutal and efficient tend to not be good enough. I'm gonna start with, actually, am I just gonna like play this Explosives out for 2? I'm just gonna play this Explosives out for 2. So one of the things that Engineered Explosives does really well when you play it out early, especially when they know about it with a discard spell, is this Engineered Explosives for 2, if my opponent has more 2-drops in their hand, I can kind of use it to control the pacing of their threats by choosing when I pop it. So not only is this Engineered Explosive eventually going to 1-for-1 my opponent, but it's going to allow me to kind of set the pace of play for the game to a pace that I'm okay with. Wow, that card is good. I talked about this card in Standard. This card grinds. Oh, it's a zombie. It's a zombie. Wow, that's really good. Okay. I don't care for the Leonin Arbiters in my opponent's deck, but this card in a zombie aggressive deck sounds really sweet. All right, so what am I doing here? I think I'm casting Faithless Looting to start. So I have this Brutality here now. So I'm definitely ditching Freaky Kiki. I think I want to Brutality, kill this Midnight Reaper this turn before it gets to hit me. Do I want to hold on to... I think I want to hold on to the Mausoleum Secrets, because Mausoleum Secrets gives me the ability to find a copy of Living End once I get this As Foretold back from under this Tide Hollow Sculler. It's really sweet, Philly. The software is good and standard is fun. So it's just like a good combination of things, right? Wow, brutal. Okay. All right, so getting kind of punished here. Discovery, Dispersal. Yeah, definitely starting with that one, right? Probably want to leave red mana available. That was a red disenchant because Magic Online is nothing but quality software. I don't think I'm in for either of these, right? I think I'm just like looking for a piece of removal here. As I say, you could maybe make an argument that I should keep the Discovery because it like digs deeper. Moto agreed. So I'm gonna top this As Foretold. If I draw an untapped land next turn, I can As Foretold plus Secrets into Living End. So Exarch means I'm not dead, right? I can block, tap 1 plus block 1. The fact that they didn't have a 2-drop to put into play means I'm also not dead to a removal spell here. Which is nice. Yeah, if I wasn't looking at lethal, I could have played this on my turn and untapped in Mausoleum Secrets, but definitely need to do this. No, I don't think it's worth the risk at all. Yeah, so the other thing here is too, if I go to 1, it cuts off fetch lands. Has the ability to play them, which kind of sucks for us. Yep. Oh yeah, if I do that, I'm actually just dead on board because of Crypt Breaker plus this. So we need an untapped land here. We need untapped land or Living End. We're actually dead on board with your suggested line, so that probably makes it really bad. Oh no, they drew Tide Hollow Sculler. Yeah, okay. We actually had, oh no! Oh no, I messed up! Oh! No, wait, I boarded them out, right? I boarded them out, right? Whew! If I had Goryo's Vengeance in my deck, I could have Secret'd into Goryo's Vengeance and killed them there. Maybe I should leave one Goryo's in. I'm gonna leave a Goryo's in. I'm gonna not cut all of them, because leaving one in gets me 2. Okay, whew. I'm glad I technically punted during sideboarding and not when I conceded. I definitely messed that up, but I messed it up during sideboarding and not when I conceded. That would have been sweet too, right? Just like put that in, kill you in response. This deck has so many sweet, and that's one of the other reasons I've been kind of drawn to potentially working on this deck some more, is because the last few times we've played this deck, when I've lost games, I've been like, oh, I made this decision that was actually a mistake. And like, those are the types of decks that I, as a player, enjoy playing. When I get to look back on a match and go, I lost this game or I lost this match, but I made mistakes and my mistakes are what cost me. Like, that's what I'm looking to get out of a match of Magic. That's when I talk about feel smart decks and decks that like keep me engaged as a player. Like if I'm gonna play a deck for a weekend, I want it to keep me engaged as a player, and I feel like this deck does that for me, as opposed to like some of the more linear decks don't necessarily do that. And, you know, one of the things, like I talked about the green-black deck from this past week, and the green-black deck has a lot of moments that I feel like allow me to learn and grow, but that deck doesn't have the free wind that this deck has. So, like, a deck like this that's, like, Splinter Twin adjacent, a deck that has those oops, I killed you moments, but also has those, like, deep, interesting, I made some mistakes here, I had some choices and things I could have done differently. That's what I really look for to get out of a deck. Brendan, yeah, it often wins with Primeval Titan. Sometimes you have alternative win conditions. If you look on my website, jeffhogan.com/decklist, Amulet Titan's one of in the proven deck section, and we've played that deck a ton on stream. That's actually another one of the decks I'm considering for the Invitational for Modern. What do I want to do here? I kind of want to prioritize fetching because my opponent showed me Leonin Arbiter. And do I want to play this for 1, 2, or do I want to just Discovery this turn? Morning, Captain Jack. I think I'm going to fetch Shock Discovery. I'm going to fetch Shock Discovery. I don't really need double blue in this deck, right? And I want black and red, so I'm going to get Blood Crypt here. Discovery's felt really good. Basically, in my opinion, Discovery is very good. Like, this is a good example here, right? Like, I'm going to bin this Faithless Looting and draw this Blood Crypt. If you can ever draw more than one card with Discovery, if you're ever playing a deck where, like, you want things to make it into your bin, it's basically like Faithless Looting. Obviously not that power level, but it's similar to that in if you can get more than what you're supposed to get off of it, it's a really good return for you, basically. Glad I waited on this Engineered Explosives. So in response to this Aether Vial trigger during their upkeep, I'm going to blow this up, I think. I did give them the ability to Crypt Breaker with this sequencing, so maybe that's wrong. But, like, if they're using their mana to make a 2-2 this turn, I think I'm okay with that. Like, they turned a Swamp into a 2-2, but, like, they also just, like, made a 2-2, so, like, it's not really a big deal. So this is something that's important to keep in mind. Remember that Deceiver Exarch effectively only costs 2 mana when you need him to in a pinch. So I'm gonna go ahead and undiddle this and then cast this Jace this turn. Honestly, I'm looking for something that both generates a strong proactive draw on occasion, which is what this deck does, while also being able to lean into being interactive when being interactive is good. That's basically what I would like to do. So I think 4-color Geist and blue-red Tempo are both decks that fit that bill. They're decks that have proactive draws that run people over, but they're also decks that are just like absurdly powerful sometimes. Or they have draws that run people over, but they also have draws that are very interactive, right? Kiki-Jiki does not fit that bill, unfortunately. So if we draw As Foretold plus Living End, they're dead. That was not either of those things. Let's do this. They're going to get to draw a card here, it looks like. Mausoleum Secrets. That's half of what I'm looking for. I'm going to discard this. Maybe I'm supposed to discard the Kiki-Jiki there, actually. Yeah, I'm probably supposed to discard the Kiki-Jiki there. This card also puts cards into our bin. Yeah, if I would have discarded the Kiki-Jiki there, I could have killed them next turn. Oh, I guess I get to flashback Faithless Looting. I think they're actually, like, if they don't interact with us, they're actually dead next turn. But we'll see. They have 1 card. They're going to need to draw 2 cards this next turn, so. No, JAC doesn't fit the is occasionally interactive enough. I would like to play Splinter Twin. That is correct. Splinter Twin is the deck I am looking for. And, like, again, the sweet thing here is that even if like they have a disruption for our combo next turn, Living End is going to clear their boards. Like, they're not going to have any creatures in play when I Living End. All right, so let's start with Rail, see where this goes. I'm gonna take a backup As Foretold here in case they blow up the first one. And then, so Jace, because I didn't discard this last time, I need to downtick Jace on Faithless Looting. So that way I can cast this for 1. That'll be good later. So I'm gonna discard this, discard this. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Mausoleum Secrets and grab Living End. So they have their card in hand, plus they're gonna have a draw off this Crypt Breaker to draw a removal spell. But again, even if they draw a removal spell, their board is going away. I'm still gonna have a Deceiver Exarch or a Kiki-Jiki left. And I have these 2 Planeswalkers going. And remember, I'm behind this game. I have less resources than I could otherwise have if I would have discarded the correct thing to Faithless Looting. You missed me punching to red-white taxes, Jat. But I feel like I'm learning stuff as we go, so that's fun. I feel like I've been learning. You have a Doomblade, or are you dead? It's a pretty good clip, to be fair. How we doing, folks? Happy Friday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jeff Hogan. We're hanging out playing some Grixis Goryo As Foretold this morning. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are the wonderful people that keep me employed here full time. I love playing Magic and I love streaming, but they're the reason that I'm able to show up and do this for 30 to 40 hours a week. I wouldn't be here without their wonderful support. By subscribing, you can also support my stuff by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. Harry's Razors would like to help you get that nice, close, clean shave. Using code Jeff Hoagland at bit.ly/HoogleShave, you'll save $5 on your new trial kit with them. You get that starter kit for as little as $3 if you sign up for their recurring subscription service, and as little as $5 if you sign up with no further commitment. Cardsphere.com would love to help you turn some of your cards into other cards directly with other players. There's no haggling, and they just take a 1% fee off the top. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mousepads, binders, and bags there, including a bunch of wonderful Hooglandia merchandise. We've got some sweet mats up there with our Jester branding on it. And speaking of Hooglandia, I'd like to welcome everyone out there this morning. Remember, if you are enjoying the content, hit that follow button. It doesn't cost you anything. Let you know when I go live and with what. Also, remember to check out my YouTube channel as well as my website, jeffhoagland.com. You can find lots more of my content there. We are now 1-1 with this Grixis Goryo's deck. Heading on into our third match here. This hand seems very good. This deck seems super weird. How has it been working? So we've actually played this deck a number of times before. I just plugged my website a second ago. This is one of the 50 some odd modern decks that's listed up there. I think this deck is doing something that's both very unique and very powerful. So this is a deck that I've been pretty consistently impressed with in this format. Looking to formally get into Modern, I have 3/4 of Eldrazi Tron from like 2 years ago, built when I exploded in popularity. Do I recommend? I finished building it. I think Eldrazi Tron is pretty terrible. I think Green Tron is a very reasonable deck, so I think if you're interested in Troning people, I would recommend the traditional mono Green Tron. There's Doomsayers screaming from the rooftops that like with Assassin's Trophy, Tron is unplayable, and I think those people couldn't be more wrong. In fact, we've played Tron on stream to decent success post Assassin's Trophy. I don't think Trophy really changed much for Tron. Yeah, Green Trons with the Goyfs in the board have been quite excellent. We played that variation on stream last time. And again, Tron's another one of those 50 decks you can find on stream. Yeah, all the people that are talking about like Tron being unplayable potentially, like those are people that are just like hoping Tron's going to be unplayable because, well, they hate Tron. Looking for a living end here. Although I guess this Tolaria West turns into a living end, right? Definitely don't want a Spirebluff Canal. Am I in for a Deceiver Exarch? I don't think so. I just want to give myself the most shots to find a living end naturally. Bristle Pig. Well, like, the thing is, too, Brendan, that, like, the decks that Assassin's Trophy goes into have harder times against Tron. Like, Black-Green is, like, okay against Tron, but, like, it's not an auto-win by any means, right? Like, even with Trophy, it's still very close to a coin flip. Yeah, we get to put Kiki-Exarch into play 2 turns from now. That being said, if my opponent looks like they're playing Burn, so if they have Lightning Bolt or Lightning Helix or a Shard Volley, some way to interact with my Kiki-Jiki, we won't be able to kill them. I try to be funny when I can, Colin. I try to be funny when I can. Are there decks that have free wins against Tron? Yeah, the linear combo decks tend to be pretty good against Tron. Decks like Griselbrand, decks like Storm, decks that kill you very quickly tend to be very reasonable against Tron. Alright, we want them to tap out this turn and not kill us. If they tap out and don't kill us, they are dead next turn. Looks like that's the case. So, they were going to kill us on their turn 4. We killed them on our turn 4. Just like good, clean living, basically. Again, this is a good example of why I don't think you should play less lands in this deck. I think you should just play more utility lands. Especially when Tolaria West is basically 3 mana living end. Cast this, combo you. Remember back on turn 1 when I put Kiki Exarch in my bin? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Burn is amazing against Tron, that's true. Put a hat on that one. Barbaric, thank you for the 5-month resubscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thank you for the continued support. Kiki liked it, so he put a hat on it, chat. If you like it, then you should have put a hat on it. You cannot save targets on activated abilities. You can only save targets on triggered abilities like this. There we go. There we go. Scoop them up. That's what I like to see. Oh, I've got. Remember, someone's got a little bit of RESPECT for the burn deck, chat. I've got a little respect. That's what we call these 4 copies of Collective Brutality. These 4 copies of Collective Brutality. Respect, chat. Be respectful, or the burn deck's going to kill you. I think I'm going to trim a discovery here. It's a little bit slow and mopey. Seems good. Seems good. Someone else mentioned earlier they cut these repeals out of the sideboard. The more I play this, the more I think that's the case. I also think I want to cut some number of the Ancestral Visions from the main. Probably like 2 is a good number. To be fair, and this is something I don't fault people for, I think Exarch Kiki has been out of the format long enough that I think there's people that genuinely have never seen it before and don't realize that it's infinite. So, like, they need to see it a couple of times before they concede. They also could just, like, not be paying attention to Magic Online, right? Like, people often are doing other things while they're playing Magic Online. Yes, Jeff, we need a Kiki with a hat on it as an emote. So many things give hats now, chat. So many things give hats. For all my people that are my regular viewers out there, I would like to take a moment to plug that my schedule is going to be changing starting next week. So starting next week, I'm still going to be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, but Thursday and Friday mornings, I'm not going to be live anymore. I'm going to be doing a Wednesday night stream, which will be another arena segment, and then I'm going to be doing a long stream on Friday for Magic Online with Modern. The upside to switching my Friday stream to being in the afternoon is that I'm not going to have a hard cutoff. In fact, I'm thinking for Fridays, I'm going to do, we stream for at least 8 hours and then we keep going until people stop cutting decks in line. So I'm betting Fridays are going to start going long. All those times are Central Standard Cornfield time. So it's an hour behind Eastern. It also gives two evening streams per week to people that can't catch me in the mornings. So it gives me a little variety, gives some of those people that mostly watch on YouTube some live time to come in and enjoy the wonderful emotes. Is Stream Decker updated? I believe so. What's going on, dogs? Welcome. We are currently 1-1 in this league, and we're up a game in this 3rd match. Going into game 2 against Burn. I do remember 12-12, and I'm hoping that, like, if it's something I'm doing more often, it won't be as brutal all the time. But honestly, if people are paying me lots of money to stay awake, that's probably fine, right? So you're saying that Justin is going to make you stream 24 hours every Friday. Yeah, possibly. Hey, what's going on, Pike? Speaking of cut the lines, getting on in there. So I ended up going 4-1 with the Menagerie deck, and it's too sweet to make you not click through it. Make some adjustments if you want. Sounds good, Pikes. Happy to do it. Pikes, so the next deck I'm supposed to play is Elves. Would you prefer I cut that in front of Elves, or is it okay if I do it after Elves? You can decide, because the dollar reduced pick. Jojo, thank you for the 4-month resub and welcome back. I appreciate that. And Grapple, thank you for the 2 months and welcome. And Grapple, that name's been around for a little bit, right? You lapsed or like missed a month or something. I feel like you've been more than 2 months. At any rate, thank both of you for the continued support. I appreciate that. We're calling this Green-Black Menagerie. Let's have 3 green-black decks to wrap the day up. That's fine. You could probably put them up on YouTube as nonsense for people who only watch if that wasn't a plan already. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Pikes. I posted it on Twitter, but making a short, hey, my schedule is changing YouTube video is probably a great idea. Yeah, Stream Decker on mobile generally doesn't work. Type !deck in chat to get a link to the deck list. Definitely want a blue source here. So I'm going to 18. I'm going to stay at 18 when I kill this Eidolon with the Collective Brutality. Exarch's a great draw. I'm gonna make a note to do that. Short schedule change video for YouTube is a good idea. So yeah, so I think Thursday's not going to be a consistent stream. So one of the other reasons I'm changing my schedule a little bit is so I can carve out at least 2 guaranteed mornings per week to get to the gym. I don't often get to do that as much anymore. I think that's important to prioritize for me. Any sweet advice for someone who's studying math at university, already have a bachelor's in computer science as well? I don't know. My life path has been kind of unique. I don't know that I use my math degree in the same way that a lot of people do. A pile of blood moons. Thank you for the 3-month resubscription. Welcome back. I hope my opponent doesn't have a pile of blood moons. That would be bad for me. So I'm supposed to Faithless Looting here, right? It feels bad, but like it's what I'm supposed to do. And I think I just like want both. I want both these Exarchs. Huh. Do I not want both Exarchs? I think I actually want to keep the lands because I kind of want... I know my opponent has a Searing Blaze, so I'd like to be able to Exarch plus block, Dispel Searing Blaze. So I think I'm going to do this and then play the Delta and fetch a shock land here. We're in a tough spot because they drew the second Eidolon. If they hadn't drawn the second Eidolon or we had a second removal spell for it, we'd be pretty okay here. But without either of those, we're kind of up a creek at the moment. I might do a short stream on Thursdays, and as a reminder for people that follow my content, that posted schedule is my minimum stream schedule. So those are the times that you should be able to fire me up and find me live basically all the time. I often stream much more than that. The other ones I like to, one of the perks of this job is schedule flexibility a little bit. So the rest of the time I'm gonna flex it a little bit. So realistically, I'm online for closer to 40 hours a week, but I only schedule about 30. For the same times every week. Leeson for the loss with that brand new Prime support. Thanks for keeping me employed with that. Welcome back. Welcome. Thanks for the Bezo bucks. Thanks for the great content. Being a trucker, it's hard for me to play these days, but thanks to you, I get my fix. Fold into 1727. Thank you for the 4 months. Welcome back. Thanks for continuing to keep me employed here. This is tough. So, like, I feel like I'm supposed to just hit the looting here because I need a Collective Brutality or a Goryo's Vengeance to kind of win this game, right? think this one's just too far gone. Anytime Eidolon gets to deal like that much damage, you're just gonna kind of be up a creek without a paddle. Maybe I'm supposed to, and this is like another reason to like have access to some Izzet charms in my 75. Yeah, I think maybe I'm supposed to bring Abrade in, but like I really don't want to. And this is definitely an instance where like if I had if I had like Izzet charm, that would be a card like I'd be super happy to have here. I don't think too long. As always, you can check the deck queue Edge Freak. That's one that got added back in there and has some points behind it, I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. I think this is Fetch Basic Mountain on one. This deck doesn't actually have that many black spells in it. I guess Collective Brutality is pretty important, but like I'm gonna look at enough cards here that we can hopefully find a black source. No, I think leaving in the one AV is fine. I've played this matchup before, and the way it plays out enough of the time, I think the AV is good. That was perfect. It's like black source that doesn't hurt too much, plus Collective Brutality here. Yeah, I agree that Izzet charm probably does a lot of good things. The more I'm playing this deck, the more I'm getting a feel for what's good and what's bad. Alright, so there's Taylor. I might just drop Jace here, honestly. So, like, Jace gives me extra looks at Goryos and Living End at this point. So, God, that's so good. I love the fast lands in this deck. They are great. I feel a little bit bad if they Searing Blaze me next turn, but I think that Jace is the play here. I could definitely see an argument being made to spot check. Of course, the other argument to not firing off the Collective Brutality right away is that if my opponent has Eidolon here, I'd much rather kill Eidolon than Taylor. No, I think I'd work the charms into the main deck. I think I'm going to cut 2 copies of Ancestral Visions. That's what I would do. So we're going to have 13 here. Probably going to be like Cascade Bluffs, Brutality, Escalate a bunch here, unless we draw a Living End. Yeah, I think it's just... I kind of want to keep the Discovery Dispersal. Of course, I also have this Faithless Looting in my bin. I think I'm just supposed to full mode this. Just, like, do my best to stay alive here. Kind of want to keep the Discovery Dispersal, but the looting provides me selection for later. I have an Eidolon too. Yeah, feels pretty bad there. Maybe I should have just Brutality done too. I'm just gonna time you out because it's like patently incorrect. Just like do like any amount of basic mathematics to find out that like they don't in fact almost always have their 4 of on 2. That's like not how probability and statistics works. Not even close. They always have their 4 of on 2. No, I think that's bad logic. Because, well, the math disagrees with you. So I'm going down to 9 next turn. And then I'm realistically taking... We're probably dead here. There's a chance if I would have sequenced the Brutality first, we could have been better off here. The statistics actually agree that Tron's very consistent if you do math accounting for all their cantrips. Yeah, it's gonna be all she wrote. You think if I would have Brutality first there, it would have been fine. One-off 4-mana spells seem really clunky. I mean, like, I could do like, here's the basic math. Like finding out what their odds are to have a 4 of on turn 2 is very easy. So like there's 60 cards in their deck. There's 4 of them. Turn 2 on the draw, they've drawn 9 cards, and we want 1 Searing Blaze. So, like, they're 49% to have Searing Blaze in their top 9 cards, which means they're going to have it by turn 2. And that doesn't count for mulligans for hands that they, like, are unplayable. So they're definitely less than a coin flip to have it. I think you could make an argument that, like, it's correct to Collective Brutality on 2 there. I think that that's not unreasonable, but I think, like, saying they always have it is just, like, an absurd reason to say because it's just, like, patently incorrect, right? So, thinking about this deck more and more, and I wonder if this is just, like, me trying to make it too controlling. I wonder if trimming some Griselbrands is correct even. Because, like, Goryo's Vengeance is, like, good with Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and, like, we have more selection spells with Discovery Dispersal, and, like, turn 2 Griselpig isn't guaranteed lights out all the time. So I could see it being correct to trim maybe the 4th Griselbrand even from the deck. I'm all for any excuse to pop up in the Hyper Geo. I do love me some math. No, I actually think Jace is great in this deck. So Jace lets you flash back Living Ends and As Foretold, or Living Ends and Ancestral Visions when you have As Foretold out, which is very, very good. People that are, like, making wild speculations on what I would change and why, at the very end of this video today, very end of this league, sorry, I'll be doing a wrap-up segment as always where I kind of go through and walk through things I would change and why I would change them. Izzet Charm is not a sideboard card, to give you a TLDR for the time being. And my house is filled. That's the worst part about when it gets cold, is the bugs try to come into where it's warm. It's like high of 45 today in central Illinois. It's just the worst. I think I want to just get this As Foretold into play. Of course, I could also see an argument for just, like, sticking the Jace. They probably have a bunch of Doomblades in their deck, though, right? I feel like they're a high Doomblade concentration deck, so I'm going to start by sticking the As Foretold here. Loving the standard content recently. Now please hit me with that sweet content. I got time out, the nice twin. Thank you for the 4 months. And thank you for letting me know that you're enjoying the standard stuff. I've really been enjoying playing standard, so it's good to know. Next turn I can Tolaria West and get Living End if I want, right? Which is probably good enough here. It, like, puts Jason to play. The Hollow Flare deck is a really good time. Honestly, so, like, the more I play this deck today, I think I just want a second T West instead of I think I want a second T West instead of the what's it called? I have a 1 Desolate Lighthouse right now. The T West has been really good, especially if I'm trimming Ancestral Visions. It's, like, more access to Ancestral Visions. Delta gets Swamp, play around Blood Moon. That's probably a good suggestion. I didn't think about that. Thanks for pointing that out, Detroit. They're definitely Mardu Pyromancer, right? So, like, Blood Moon's a very real consideration. Is this a call against command? Yep. Yeah, I think we did like crude math at one point to calculate. I could technically combo them this turn. I'll flash this back. These extra As Foretold are pretty bad. Am I just, like, binning these extra As Foretold? Kiki-Jiki in my hand is kind of mediocre. I'm gonna bin him for now. I forgot As Foretold was on too. I'm used to this card just casting 0 mana spells. Yeah, this should be in play. That's what I get for reading chat. I actually could have Kiki comboed them this turn. If I'd kept the Kiki-Jiki. So I can cast Exarch off this As Foretold here, which is nice. We've actually put Griselbrand off As Foretold in this deck before. It's pretty funny. Aw, he's dead, Jim. Oh yeah, that's true. This does let me do it every single turn, right? So I didn't need to use the lands. The Discord integration is handled automagically. Thanks for the homework breaks. Disc Jockey Kale, thank you for the 6-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Sure. Getting a removal spell out of them here is actually good for us because it means if we draw Living End, they have one less removal spell to interact with our combo. Taking Pyromancer out is also like sweet upside. Persip, thank you for the 6-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thank you for the continued support. I'm going to hold this in my hand because it insulates a sorcery speed card against Culligan's command, and it gives us something to discard should we draw Faithless Looting. But it's got 2 cards left here. There I guess on a 5-turn clock, so we've got some turns to draw out of this here. I also have a Desolate Lighthouse in our deck at the moment. Need more souls, man. Zeech with the brand new Prime support. Welcome. Thanks for shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month and keeping me employed here. Yeah, Discovery would be absurd at this point. Not close. So not dead to Bolt here, but dead in 2 turns. Oh, that's a good point, Urinal Mike. I forgot that we could diddle their stuff with that. So potentially could have been in a better spot if I remembered to play the Jace. Of course, they had a bunch of removals, so I don't think it really mattered. I think Ancient Stirrings and Faithless Looting are cards that shouldn't be legal in Modern. I think those cards are really, really offensive. Just probably shouldn't exist. What time can I expect the trophy mean to happen? You should estimate each league takes about an hour and a half. So, hour and a half to 2 hours. So probably like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 hours from now. Anger of the God seems fine here. Morale definitely seems great. I'm expecting my opponent to board in Graveyard Hate against us. And again, my response to Graveyard Hate is usually just like trim some of the Graveyard plan. Seems pretty reasonable. Seems fine, right? I said I should have left in 1 Vengeance against the last deck. I don't think I want to leave in a Vengeance in this matchup. This is a good reason why. This is prime example of like why cutting the Vengeances is good here. Is Engineered Explosives good here? I don't actually think Engineered Explosives is that good here. Like, while it can clean up Pyromancer tokens, it doesn't actually kill the Pyromancer, which means it leaves a little bit to be desired in my experience. I need you to be more specific regarding Ancient and Lootings. You can read about my thoughts in my articles here. I wrote an article talking about why I think Ancient Stirrings and Faithless Looting shouldn't be legal. Do you consider something that happens 50% of the time almost always? Maybe your threshold for almost always is very different than mine, but something that happens 50% of the time, I would not consider to happen almost all of the time. That's definitely subjective, so feel free to disagree there, but in my opinion, 50% of the time is not almost always. Maybe I'm supposed to take the Collective Brutality here, or I'm supposed to cast the Collective Brutality here to like spot check for like a Faithless Looting or something, because like I have Anger of the Gods to clean up after a Pyromancer anyways, but like if my opponent has another discard spell here and they like take my Anger, I kind of want a second Doomblade. It isn't about being mad, like, and that's something that really gets me about people on the internet. Like, I'm not mad that you had this silly opinion like that. I'm just saying that your opinion is silly, and I don't want things like that in my chat. I don't have to be mad to not want people to put nonsense in my chat. And I get that, like, that's not how the internet works in most places, and there's lots of places where they allow and even encourage people to post nonsense, but when there's, you know, almost 1,000 people here, if I let everybody post a bunch of nonsense, then I can't get to anything constructive or useful in my chat. Yeah, Anger was in hand when we got Inquisitioned. It's gonna, like, diddle a land here. And like people are so used to like so many places on the internet like not being useful that like they think like every place should be rancid, and I just like that's just like not true, I don't think. Yeah, I could have potentially spot checked for that with the Collective Brutality. Maybe I should have. That's not the one I want to cast. Let's cast this really bad Faithless Looting here. Pig and Kiki are not doing anything for a while. They're probably going to Riveler and bury us here. How are we doing so far? Our record's pretty bad in this league, but I feel like I've both made mistakes and learned things about my deck while playing, so I'd argue the league's been a success so far. I think we're pretty far behind here. Let's try. I'm gonna play the last match just to try and get a better feel for what we have going on here. And like this is why I think this league's actually a great example of why just like asking what the result of what a match was or what a league was doesn't really like tell you a lot about it. And I kind of talked on this in my article on cool stuff this week. Like I went 9-6 with Black Green in Columbus, which is like a thoroughly average record. But like when I look back on the matches that I played, a lot of the matches that I lost were just like really razor thin margins. So like just looking at the raw numbers and not thinking about the hows and the whys and discussing those, I feel like misses or glazes over a lot of really meaningful discussion points. Never apologize for winning a match of Magic, Brosader. Good luck in the rest of your league. You should never feel bad about bad beats in Magic for your opponent. Like, we're all playing this game. We all have good beats and bad beats on occasion. Just comes with the territory. Now, I think leaving a couple of Griselbrands in the deck is fine, because they're not always going to have their graveyard hate, and we have a lot of ways to, like, find Living End between Tolaria West and Mausoleum Secrets and things like that. I think Mardu Butcher is going to get bumped from today. We had someone do a cut the line, so we'll see if one of the decks that we play later is a bust, we might get to a 5th one, but there's likely we'll only get to 4 today, which will leave Mardu in the queue at the top. Seems fine. Sweet. This is a matchup that I'm interested in playing. Definitely curious to see how this feels. Probably don't need a backup living end. No, the person who Pikes did the cut, and he said he'd actually like Elves to stay next. So Elves will be next, and then we'll be doing the Green-Black Menagerie deck after that. What do I think of Chart of Course? I think Chart of Course is worse than something like Izzet Charm, which is a card that I'm going to be working back into the deck list after this league today. I cut my copies of those, and I think that was a mistake. Yep. Huh. A flashback looting. I think there's an argument for suspending visions here. Sweet. Now I get to suspend vision still. If you find yourself tilting too much while losing in Magic tournaments, it's probably a good idea to take a step back from tournament Magic and like really try and evaluate like what you're trying to get out of playing Magic the Gathering. I think that's something that I definitely had a problem with and needed to do at one point. Magic's a game that you should be playing for fun. If you're finding yourself frustrated with it too often, it's probably not worth your time to be playing. You shouldn't. If your hobby is just doing nothing but pissing you off, you should like take a break and like find a different hobby. Jace Vryn's Prodigy, sign me up. Especially with this Goryo's Vengeance in hand. Yeah, Discovery Dispersal has been great. I've liked that card a lot. Although 4, it's possible that 4 might be too many. I didn't think about the Field of Ruin. That's a good point. I have 2 basics in my deck still, but yeah, I didn't think about the Field of Ruin. I kind of want to conserve my health total because my opponent's deck is full of burn spells. But I could definitely see an argument for getting a shock to like keep for path and stuff like that in my deck. So in response to this fetch land, I'm going to go ahead and Goryo's Vengeance back this Jace. Get my loot on. Probably would rather keep Ancestral Vision. Is this a Teferi? See if they tuck Jace in or if they want to start drawing cards. So I got 2 more turns on this AV. Tron and Valakut are the 2 decks that I would not have a problem with if they didn't exist in Modern. I think those decks just like generate pretty rancid play patterns. The decks that like Jeskai control tends to be good against in Modern are decks that are doing like pretty dishonest things. So like I think if you're having a pretty bad matchup against them, you should like try and reevaluate what you got going on. Almost forgot to plus my Jace. give you a 10-minute break so you can go ahead and read those cards. Conditional tutors are my favorite cards to play on stream because they're like, nobody in Twitch chat ever knows what conditional tutors do. At least not the people who pipe up. Just like the people that talk, just like never a clue. Yeah, I think the Amulet deck has a number of interaction points comparative to those other ones. And what it's doing is, like, far more interesting. But that's definitely, you know, that's a subjective opinion. All of that subjective opinion, right? I would love to bin the pig and keep the Jace. Cast my Jace. I'm so excited for Isochron Scepter. The Isochron, I posted the Isochron Scepter deck in the subs Discord last night if you didn't see it. It's definitely got Raven's Crime, or not Raven's Crime, Funeral Charm in it on top of Assassin's Trophy. Hey, Pikes, thanks for the bit. Summoners packed for Green Sun Zenith. Funny because it's sad. I think those decks are aggressive, but I don't think they're decks that I would classify like the big mana decks. So like the reason why I personally am not a fan of big mana decks existing in Modern like Tron and Valakut is because we don't have efficient ways to interact with them. And when you have these powerful decks that don't give you good avenues to interact with them, you're encouraged to just linear them, which makes the format have less back and forth. And in my opinion, the back and forth is what makes Magic such a great game. So when you punish people for playing decks that are interested in generating, like, I do my thing, and then your thing interacts with my thing, and my thing interacts back with your thing, when you discourage people from doing that, Magic, you're getting rid of one of the best things about Magic. I got you, Beetle. I think we're probably too far gone at this point. We're at 17 though, so I might wait and see if this has a chance to resolve. No, I don't think Wasteland's a good card. I actually think Wasteland creates more garbage tier games of Magic than Tron and Valakut do. Wasteland and cards like Wasteland are responsible for creating more non-games of Magic and Legacy than I would argue exist in general in Modern. Wasteland's an extremely high variance card. It's a card that's sometimes literally just a colorless land, and other times it reads win the game on the spot because your opponent is unlucky. Saying Wasteland keeps people fair is like the spreading the idiocy that Blood Moon keeps people honest. That's not what it does. Most people aren't showing up with really greedy mana base and losing to Wasteland. Most people are like playing an average mana base and just like only drawing 2 lands and just like not getting to play Magic because they were unlucky. Like, Wasteland is a card that takes the variance that's built into Magic as a game and then cranks it up to a 10. Yes, what Bob said. Greedy mana bases in Modern keep themselves in check because fetches and shocks deal you lots of damage, or your lands come into play tapped. Modern has a lot of checks and balances built into its mana bases to keep people from being greedy. Yeah, and keeping the extra land for like a Jace or a Faithless Looting or just like any of the above. Like, I'm probably never casting a Kiki-Jiki this game. It's like the third red's like not really relevant. No, I think powerful cantrips make for bad Magic formats, which is one of the reasons why I don't enjoy Legacy. One of the things I think a lot of Magic players fail to identify, and I wrote about this in my article like last month or the month before, and I talked about why Faithless Looting and Ancient Stories I think are bad for Modern. There is a difference between cards that generate high variance games of Magic and cards that remove variety from games of Magic. And having a critical mass of efficient cantrips removes variety from games of Magic. And that's a bad thing. One of the best things about Magic is that the games have variety. It's not chess. It's not checkers. It's not a game where your games play out in the same manner every single time. Yeah, I think Back to Basics is a less offensive card than Blood Moon. I don't think they'd ever print that card into the format because that's not the type of card they print anymore, Risky Bug. But I think as far as like offensive cards go, I think Back to Basics is far less offensive than Blood Moon. I mean, all right, can we steal one? Do you have a counterspell? I guess even if they have a path here, this is pretty good for them. They don't have a counterspell or a path. We're gonna get him here. Hey, Flipmaster, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub there. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Man, if this kills Teferi, there's no way this kills Teferi, right? Holy crap. Wow. All right. I was not prepared for that to happen. Go. I love, and this is, so I just banned somebody for like posting garbage nonsense in chat. People often, hey, Sarge, Jeff, could you elaborate on why you think Back to Basics is better than Blood Moon? It seems a little backwards to me, but I'm interested in your reasoning. So the reason why I think Back to Basics is less offensive than Blood Moon is because Back to Basics is a card where if you construct your deck in a non-greedy manner, where if you have sufficient basics in your deck, you can actually play around a Back to Basics. So like, let's say you're tapped out on turn 3 and you only have one basic land, but you have a bunch of fetch lands in your hand. With Blood Moon, those fetches are just mountains and you're not going to get to play Magic. However, with Back to Basics, you can let those fetches get basic lands if you put them in your deck and then continuing getting to play a game of Magic. Back to Basics is a card that only punishes you if you don't have basics at all. And there are some games where you're just going to draw a bunch of fetches and shocks and not have fetches or basics, but I think the average 2-color and even 3-color mana base in Modern could be constructed in a way to be reasonably competitive in Modern against Back to Basics, whereas you really can't do that against Blood Moon. So to go back to what somebody else just said in chat that I got annoyed with, somebody used the argument, people do this all the time, not only in Magic, but also life in general. They basically made the argument that Blood Moon, or that Wasteland, was a fair card in Legacy because it was less offensive than the other cards that people play. And that's just garbage nonsense. Like, just because like a pile of poop smells better than a pile of vomit doesn't mean either of those things are good, right? Like, they both smell bad. Like, they're both not things that you're particularly interested in being around. So like saying that like this offensive thing isn't offensive because it's less offensive than this other thing over here, that's nonsense, right? Like, we can both agree that like there's varying degrees of them being obnoxious, but they're both still obnoxious, right? Like, neither of them are great. Someone else said, how do cantrips remove variety? Cantrips contribute to your decks doing the exact same thing every game, which the exact same thing every game removes variety from the gameplay.
and you can have your cards be different game to game without removing variety from it. I don't know what I'm doing here. I have 11 cards, there's 19 cards. Does anybody know what I'm supposed to be doing here? Talking about this game of Magic? Yeah, it's referred to as whataboutisms. It's very common in politics and just people in general do that. Do I cast am I supposed to cast a cantrip? Casting the cantrip can't be right? Because like, I don't know. Put the Exarch. So like they almost certainly have a removal spell, right? Can we kill them if they're dead? That's a good line of thinking. I'm gonna start by casting Goryo's Vengeance and see if it results. I'm gonna start by putting Griselbrand into play. All right, I'm gonna see if I can connect with this. We can probably scrape this game out. We need Teamer Battle Rage for the Griselbrand. Yeah, but they have to activate Azcanta this turn, so like there's a good chance they find a path. And like they didn't have path or a counterspell last turn, so like there's a good chance that they have lightning bolts or lightning helixes in their hand to interact with Kiki combo. Because remember, like Kiki combo gets interacted with by a lot more than. Do you think this is the first time a Griselbrand has ever been Settle the Wreckaged? It's probably pretty close to the first time a Griselbrand's ever been Settle the Wreckaged, right? Oh, you know what? I probably should have played... Yeah, so I'm playing the Exarch now, so I mis-sequenced here slightly. I definitely should have played a Spirebluff Canal out tapped, because I wanted to, I wanted to have an untapped land for next turn that doesn't hurt me. I think Jeskai Nahiri is very reasonable. You can find the iteration of Jeskai Nahiri on my decklist page on my website. Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't playing. Maybe I should have untapped a red to Faithless Looting last turn. Yeah, I'd buy that for $1. So I know they have a cryptic command. Let's start by doing this. Yep, yeah, mobile and YouTube are the two reasons I have my chat on screen. Definitely helpful for those folks. There are not any counterspells in my graveyard or my main deck in this deck currently. You like how I took like a 3-minute break to rant during this game, and like we're currently up 20 seconds on clock still? So they're bouncing their... So this is why I sequenced the way I did. There's another Kiki in my bin here. So now I get to bring this Kiki back. So they need to have another answer in their hand already, or I'm going to get them here. Because they're bouncing their Snapcaster Mage here, which is a good play, because that gives them Snap Lightning Bolt to disrupt my combo. But this is instant speed, so I can combo in response to the Cryptic countering this, bouncing this. So they need to have another counter spell or another removal spell here, or they're going to be dead. Which I don't know if this deck is amazing. I feel like there's something here, but this deck definitely generates games of Magic that keep me engaged and interested in playing, which is what I'm looking for in a deck. So like, if this deck is competitive, it has the lines to keep me interested in continuing to play it. Looks like they unfortunately have another Cryptic Command. Yeah. Yep. It's probably going to be lights out for us. We'll see. They have a snap in their hand. Hey, what's going on, the Flip Master? Thanks for the support. I'm glad you enjoy the content. Thanks for dropping in. Welcome to a live one. It's a good play. Yeah, I think we're just out of tools here. I'm actually going to just be done. I don't know that we're guaranteed to lose this matchup, but I feel like I've learned enough about what I want to change in this deck from playing this league that I'm good to move on and talk about what I want to do here, which is my goal, right? Like my goal, and this is one of the reasons why I like playing the friendly leagues, is because I can concede like this and not be losing as many dollars. Like I'm getting what I need to get out of it from a learning standpoint. I mean, we had a lot of lands that game, but like we also just like drew 2/3 of our deck. So I think you're going to do that when you draw that much of your deck. So thoughts on what's going on here. So don't want to lose my shovel. You are cute. XD, thank you for the 2-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So things I want to think about here. To start with the main deck, I'm going to drag this off for now. I think 4 Ancestral Visions is too many. Love the content. Love the analysis of the lines. Thank you for the 4 months, Rainer. Welcome back. I appreciate it. I think I honestly want to go down to 2 Ancestral Visions. I think because this is a deck where you can draw and play Ancestral Visions with As Foretold, we just don't need 4 of them. I just want like a couple to go get when they're going to be useful. And one of the things I'm going to do to compensate for cutting this is I actually want to take this Desolate Lighthouse and cut it. I want to turn it into a second copy of Tolaria West here, because this, again, while 22 lands might be a touch high with how many cantrips we have, I don't like to stumble, and Tolaria West is a land that turns into Ancestral Visions and Living End for us. In addition to cutting these, I think I want to cut the 4th copy of Discovery Dispersal. While I've been really happy with this card in general, 2 mana is a lot for this effect in Modern. I also think I kind of want to get a 4th Jace Fringe Prodigy in here. This card is very, very good. I think I want to go ahead. I think I'm also going to just like trim. I think this Miser Secrets is probably too cute as well. So I've missed my couple copies of Izzet Charm, so I'm going to put those back in here. Just be a touch of interaction. This is a card that like can help forward our linear game plan, while it also is a bit of interaction as well. Yeah, I think cutting a Griselbrand here is probably reasonable as well. And then I think the last thing I want to do here is bringing. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut the secrets altogether. I think the last one's probably just too cute. Bringing a couple of brutalities. Like, brutality's pretty sweet here too, right? Because like these games go long, so having access to this to flash back to like check before we combo seems sweet. And like trimming a Griselbrand and going up a Jace makes sense because it makes these Goryo's Vengeances better. All right, so I think this is the main deck I'd be interested in playing next time. I think this seems pretty reasonable. I feel good about the reasons why I've made the changes we've made here. All right, let's move on to the sideboard here and take a peek at what we have going on over here. Ral's been good so far. I like that what Ral does. So what I've been doing in a lot of games with this deck is basically boarding out the Goryo's Vengeances and the Griselbrands and turning into a blue-red control deck. And Ral's just great in a blue-red control deck. Like, he also fills our graveyard up when they're not hitting on our graveyard, which is great, too. So, I think the repeals are too cute. I think between Engineered Explosives and just, like, turning into a less graveyard-focused deck, we could just sidestep that kind of stuff. I think I want at least one more Dispel in here for the control matchup. It's also like pretty okay against burn. I think a second Dispel is good. 4 Brutalities in the 75. And then honestly, I think I need to sit and think about some of my sideboard plans and kind of go over my ins and outs of like what I want the sideboard to be doing in different matchups before I figure out what those last 3 cards are. I think I like this. Honestly, I could even see like the last AV being good in the board for like other mid-range matchups too. I'm gonna do that for now. Put the 4th one in the board, or the 3rd one in the board. I don't know. Like I said, I have to think about. People that have watched the stream before know that I'm not a huge fan of building decks on stream, so I'll put some thought into that later. I'll definitely get this main deck especially updated on the website today. I'm going to make a note to do that. Now, I'll post on Discord and stuff too. Let's move along here, shall we?